Richard from Telestream, as a vendor of these solutions, both on premises and cloud, what have you seen in terms of video production, video producers' reticence towards moving to the cloud? Are a lot of people set in the way they're doing things? Is it tough to get people to embrace cloud? Talk a little bit about how video producers overall, in your experience and Telestream's experience, how anxious are they to make the move to the cloud?
I think it's a mix on a lot of bigger ones. I think to points Loki and Corey made, the scalability factor is very appealing, especially as there is a need and a desire to market more sort of secondary streams. So the extra courts at Wimbledon, in-car cameras for racing events, things like that. If you wanted to build all this out of traditional infrastructure and more, physical servers sitting there constantly for all your little streams, it's just not worth the expense. You cannot create that kind of user experience for the consumer in a reasonable cost. Cloud allows you to do that, spin up those extra channels when you need them. We talk a lot about sort of like capacity as a scaling up, but scaling down is just as important. You build this out for when you need it, but when you don't, it goes away and you're not spending any money on it. You're not maintaining servers. You don't have an IT team worrying about their quarterly updates or anything like that. It really simplifies a lot of things in that mindset when, from a production standpoint, you want to look at, let me add this extra stream, this extra feature, this extra unique experience for the consumer. You can do that more freely because cloud sort of has that flexibility. The sort of reticence and the resistance to it, I wouldn't even call it resistance, but just the places where it's not as effective mostly come to things with really quick turnarounds, and most of that has to do with like on-prem production needing to be done on site. Direct linear records need to happen because you can play them out with a couple minute delay rather than having to do a file process or ship it to some other virtual head in the cloud type idea. I think those are the parts where from production standpoints we still really see a lot of the traditional workflows are much better. But once that mainstream has been produced and you're ready to build those additional channels and you're ready to get the content out there, and you need to scale it up so that you have, multiple endpoints across the world and you can spin up little substreams sort of on demand. That is where cloud's offering a huge, awakening to be able to offer so much more to the consumer. And I think we see it embraced a lot by, groups like Corey's working with and things like that. And it's making, a much more flexible environment, which allows people to do cooler things for the consumer, makes all of the streaming experience more enjoyable.
Yeah, and Waseem, give us some front row experience from your use of cloud workflows. Would you ever go back to on-premises style solutions? I guess you almost don't know any other way at this point, do you?
Well, it's comical, right? We're actually looking at creating on-prem solutions in key offices only because we want to look at marrying the convenience factor, right? For the talent. Our use case is very different where we have to have speed, right? So something Richard was just touching on is being able to spin up an event for whatever reason it is in minutes. And we can do that because of how we're built with a cloud workflow. If you try to do that with an on-premise situation, I mean, scheduling, resourcing, you run into all these challenges, even redundancy, right? To make sure that the talent is ready and you're good to go. But for us, it's like, well, we actually kind of need that now as well, because talent might be situated in a location where it's much more convenient for them to be on site, and we're passing signal and content over the cloud and marrying that together with perhaps another REMI location, right? Or even considering, as EY is so large, we're gonna have multiple locations we gotta plug together over the cloud and pull in SRT and leverage things like NDI to make these productions happen, right? There's a lot of marionette action taking place behind the scenes that gets ignored or forgotten. And the cost effectiveness on how this happens, it's much more cost effective to do this on the cloud, right? I mean, if we were to bring something to the simplest form, what we're all engaged in right now is a cloud production, right? We were joking about this in the green room earlier. So there's a lot that can be taken in how to do something. I think the magic really is understanding your use case and then piecing that together to make it effective and work for you as an organization.